Hey there, welcome. My name is Jessica Buchanan, and I'm a New York Times bestselling author, professional speaker, and founder of Soul Speak Press, a non traditional publishing company created for women who've been through something, now they know something, and they can teach us something. In Her Words is a podcast designed to support aspiring memoir authors on their writing and publishing journey. It's hard work, this writing and publishing stuff, and I want to empower you with encouragement and information so you can keep sharing your truth. So grab your coffee, your notebook, find a quiet space, and let's dive in. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to In Her Words. I'm your host, Jess Buchanan. Happy New Year. It is officially the first week of January of 2025. And I am struggling, as I'm sure many of you out there are, getting back into the flow. I took a couple weeks off over the Christmas holidays between Christmas and New Year's. And I think where Christmas and New Year's fell on the calendar, that afforded a lot of us some extra days, which I loved and I thoroughly enjoyed. I'm a pretty active, busy person, and looking ahead at the next few months that are coming at me, I knew it was going to be important for me to enter this new year feeling rested. And so there were a couple of days we went away in between Christmas and New Year's to the mountains, basically. And my kids and my husband skied. I don't ski, I don't downhill ski. And I thought maybe I'll take a lesson. And then I was watching them get like all kitted out and thought, nah, you know what? I think I'm going to stay here with my blanket in the recliner and read my book. I read Ina Garten's memoir, Be Ready When the Luck Happens, I think is what it's called. It was so good. And I just thoroughly enjoyed, there were like 2 or 3 days where I was literally becoming one with the couch or the recliner. And I haven't done that in a long time, and it felt really good. And now going into this first work week of January, it's Monday. DC got hit with a ton of snow, so it feels kind of like my entire neighborhood's kids are coming in and out of my house. But you know what? I just shut the door and I'm here. And I'm working, and I have some things I wanted to share with you. We took a long break over the holidays over December, and mainly because I was trying to wrap up and knew I needed that break and that solitude. And while I was reading and becoming one with the couch, I also had a lot of um really good ideas and a lot of time to contemplate. I'm a big, huge believer in approaching the new year with intention. I see a lot of these things, these messages and these notes come across in GIFs, however you say that, memes over social media about, it's, it's not a new year, new me. It's a new year, same me. And I get it. That's cool. I'm not necessarily a new year, new me. There are some things I want to improve in my overall life in terms of resolutions. But I always approach the new year with a lot of intention, a lot of thoughtfulness, um, about I want, how I hope the year will unfold. And maybe that's largely because I'm a small business owner and I have people depending on me for their paychecks and for their work and their stories to get out. But it's also for me. I have a lot of goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person. And Soul Speak Press, we've been in business for about 3 years, and it's been great in terms of like exponential growth. But we are just getting started, and we have a lot of goals in terms of what we want to see happening in this next year in 2025. And so, like many of you, I'm sure, I always pick a word that I like to represent how I'm going to approach my business, my personal life, my relationships, my spiritual life. all of it. And this year, I really, really took some time. In fact, I got so intentional that I went away for a night with a really good friend of mine who's a small business owner as well. She works in interior design, so completely different industries, but we get together like once a month, usually when we can for coffee, to talk about work and to talk about what's happening and what our challenges are, because we often have similar challenges because we work with clients for long periods of time. And so I asked her if she wanted, last time we had coffee in December, I said, do you want to get together and do vision boards? And she was like, absolutely. And I was thinking we would just go to a coffee shop or something or sit in one of our houses. And she was like, let's go away for the night. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, what a great idea. So we went like an hour away. We rented an Airbnb that was just lovely. And we had the best time. We went out to dinner and both of our vision boards are covered with wanting to make more money in 2025. And it was fun because we went to this little town about an hour south of the DC area where we live. And it was New Year's Day, so like nothing was open except for this one restaurant called Foodie, Foode. And I had been there before, but the venue is in an old bank. And actually, where they sat us, we were the only ones, they sat us inside the safe. And it was so cute and so cool and just like so, like hipstery vibes. And the food was so good and the drinks were so good. But then when we got home, I texted her, I was like, did you realize that we sat for dinner and discussed our goals and our visions for 2025 while inside a bank, inside the safe? How don't you think that's sort of significant? And she was like, how did we not notice that then? And I said, I don't know. I think it was the wine. But um, anyway, all that to say, we just got really intentional. And so we went back to our Airbnb and we designed our vision boards on Canva and put them on our computers. And so every morning when I log on for work, I see my vision board and all of the goals that I'm, working toward and manifesting for 2025. And it's really powerful. I did that last year too. And I'm pretty, like almost everything on my vision board came to fruition. So if you're not a vision board person, totally respect that and get it. But I'm telling you what, it makes a difference. So anyway, all that to say, my word for 2025 is experiment. Okay. So, as I always do, I went to the dictionary and I looked up the word experiment because I want to know exactly what it means so that I can, use it properly and think about it from all different contexts and all different sides. And to experiment with something is basically to have an idea, to have an hypothesis, and then test it out. And we have a lot of hypotheses. We have a lot of ideas here at Soul Speak Press of things that we want to, like new offerings and things that we want to launch. And I never have any idea if anything is going to work. I mean, Soul Speak Press in and of itself has been just this big, huge experiment. And when I told my friend Lindsay that I was with that was my word for the year, she was like, but I feel like you do experiment all the time. Like you seem to be like a person who's always like trying something new out. And I was like, yeah, maybe. But this year I've got some big experiments to conduct. And so I wanted to take a few minutes to just share with you what to expect if you are part of our community, if you're just finding this podcast for the first time and you're an aspiring memoir writer. We are a publishing company for women and we're always looking for ways to solve problems because that's what business owners do, right? That's what entrepreneurs do. That's how I kind of like struggle sometimes with, am I a writer or am I an entrepreneur? And I think I'm both. Um, but unlike a lot of writers, I think I am very fascinated and interested in the business side of stuff, which doesn't actually lend itself to allowing me a whole lot of time to write. But I'm working that into the cracks and crevices of my life because I'm working on a new solo project, which is also an experiment. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the experiments we are going to be conducting in 2025 here at Soul Speak Press. One of the barriers to women working with us oftentimes is the fee, is the cost, the investment, because we are a non-traditional publishing company, which means there's an upfront investment to work with us. And that bothers me. It keeps me up at night. I don't feel like it's equitable and fair. And unfortunately, I do not operate as a traditional publishing company. Um, because, we don't have the capital. Maybe someday we will, but we don't, to offer advances and to finance the whole thing. Also, in order to make money as a company, I would need those authors to sell enough books to, pay back their advances. And selling books is hard. And so that just isn't a viable option for us. And so, but it bothers me that I have women come to me who want to share their stories, and they have great stories. They want to learn more about memoir writing, but they just don't have that chunk even to do like an anthology, which is, around $5,500 over the course of a year. But that's a lot of one-on-one coaching. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of, we pour into that. It takes us about 2,000 hours to put one of those books together. So, the price point is actually very fair for as much work that goes into it. So Lauren, who, is my counterpart here at Soul Speak Press, and my sister-in-law, we've been like racking our brains trying to figure out a way to meet these women in a place that might be more accessible to them so that they could share their stories and learn more about writing. And so we had a hypothesis that we have a hypothesis that we could pre-record the coaching sessions so that we only have to do them once, and then deliver them to the prospective author who signs up, and then they can work on their own or in community with the other authors who signed up on the project. And then because we're not doing all this one-on-one, spending all this time, there's support, so there's a little time involved, but we're not so involved in the process, and it's not so labor intensive. We can drop the price point down. And so our hypothesis is that if we could offer this package, this opportunity to women for $9.97, where we can drop that monthly payment to under $100, that we might be able to get more stories out into the world that need to be told. We don't know if this is going to work, but we've already got the cover designed and we're super excited. It's the whole series is going to be called In Her Words. So just like this podcast. And the first the theme of the first volume is the power within. So we're looking for interpretations of those, of that theme, the power within. And we haven't actually launched this yet, because I still need to record the videos, which is on my calendar to do tomorrow. But if you're listening to this and you are interested, please reach out to us over email at hello@soulspeakpress.com or DMs at soulspeakpress over Instagram. So another hypothesis that we have is that we wanted to do more outreach in terms of marketing, and we weren't sure how to go about that, if we wanted to keep it hyper local and centralized here in the DC area, if we wanted to branch out. So there's this big conference out in Palm Springs, California in March called Alt Summit. Maybe you've heard of it. It's basically for content creators and influencers, and it's geared towards women in the business space. And I've known about it and have wanted to attend for a couple of years, and it just didn't work logistically on my calendar. And so this summer, we decided to buy tickets, and I'm taking Lauren and Ilsa, my copy editor, out, and we're just turning this whole thing into a retreat. And we're actually sponsoring a table so we can set up all of our stuff. And our hypothesis is that we'll be able to make meaningful connections with prospective authors, and that it will all pay off, and that we'll bring in some clients this way. At least we'll sell some books. So I'm really excited about the potential of what that could mean and what that could look like, but I don't know how it's gonna, nothing is guaranteed. So like I said, it's all an experiment. So we'll see. Another big experiment that I'm going to conduct this year, I met a fellow author, a memoirist, through, I think, just like a friend that I used to teach with, and she connected us and we met for lunch before Christmas and really hit it off. And she splits her time between the DC area and Italy. Her husband is based in Italy for his work. And so we started talking about collaborating on a writing retreat in Italy. And so stay tuned for that. We're actually meeting for lunch with her husband and my counterpart who helps me plan retreats. And so we are hypothesizing that we could create a retreat experience, a writing retreat in Italy for the fall, like September, October. How awesome would that be? So stay tuned for developments on those and the details on those. Here's the thing about experiments. They have a huge likelihood of failing and flopping. I think the one thing about me, well, there are a lot of things about all of us, but there's one thing about me is that I have learned that I'm not afraid to fail. As long as it's not life altering or like no one's life is at stake, it doesn't scare me to try things. I don't really care. I actually don't really care what people think of me, if I'm really honest. I think I care if people think I'm a bad person. And so I strive really hard to be a good person because I want to be remembered and known as a good person. So I guess I can't say that I don't care what people think of me, but I guess I'm not as concerned if I try something and it doesn't work out that people think I'm stupid. And so that is really freeing because that gives me a lot of space and time to really wander around my brain and use my creativity to think about like what I really want and what I really want to do and how I could possibly prove those theories, right? And try things out and experiment. So I'm experimenting with other things in my personal life, like different types of foods. I'm experimenting with sober curiosity. I'm not drinking right now, and I'm not sure if or when I'm going to again, because I feel pretty good. I'm experimenting with HRT, not on my own, with my doctor. So, I'm very open about being a perimenopausal woman in my starting to be later 40s in March. And so, dear God, trying to feel good every day is an experiment in and of itself. But, I'm experimenting with different foods that make me feel good. I'm experimenting with different types of exercise that make me feel good and mixing up my workout routine. Um, I'm trying things. I'm trying to stay open in ways that I perhaps would have been very closed off to when it comes to just people and new relationships. I'm saying yes a lot. I'm trying experimenting with my clothes, which is a big thing. If you have been following me on Instagram, that has been such a fun creative outlet for me and will continue to be so. And I think I'll probably get braver as I continue to explore. So I'd love to know if you have a word for your year that's going to help guide you, not define you, but guide you through 2025. I'd love for you to share it with us over social media. And then I'll keep you updated. So maybe you can experiment and explore with us too. So with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope more than anything that you continue to keep writing. And if there is any way that we can serve you and support you in that effort, please don't hesitate to reach out. Until next week. In Her Words is hosted by me, Jessica Buchanan, and is produced by Soul Speak Press, a non-traditional publishing house for women who are ready to tell their story. If you would like to know more about our submission process, I encourage you to check us out at www.soulspeakpress.com or follow us over on Instagram at Soul Speak Press. We appreciate all your questions, and if you would like to leave us a review, we would be so grateful.